Welcome to another exciting episode of By the Railside Movie Review. This week, we'll be reviewing Thor. But before we get to the description of the movie, let's introduce ourselves. Guy in the back, what's your name?
I downloaded Genshin Impact today.
Oh, no.
That's my name.
Guy in the front.
I don't play games with gotcha mechanics.
Oh, he got you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Jeff, and I'm a fucking hypocrite. Come on, get me back. Be like, hey, my name's Jordan, and I broke my fucking ankle.
Hi, my name's Jordan, and I'm a real cool dude.
Oh,
true.
he's taking the high road.
I still win.
Also, Zach's here, but no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares about the host. Fuck that guy. No,
If you're a
please.
host, you should be wearing a
No,
suit and tie,
No.
like Justin Timberlake's.
No, I can't do that. I
I know that song. Or at least the tune.
One of 6 songs that he knows. Once we finish every movie, that's our next topic is music for Jeff.
Oh God.
It'd be a lot shorter. I only have to spend 3 minutes or 4 minutes a week listening to stuff instead of 2 hours.
Yeah, but you have to analyze that song so well that we can do an hour podcast.
Analyze or just complain about.
Analyze.
For me, it's about the same, I guess.
Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, all them fun places. Hey, maybe even TikTok. Maybe we'll start posting more TikToks. Apparently that's how you get real famous.
Haha, we're so quirky. Come watch our podcast.
Oh, please do that one. Please
No,
do that.
I would very much rather die.
Yeah, so this week we're continuing our MCU review with Thor. And to tell us all about the God of Thunder and his MCU debut is Jordan.
Okay, first I'm gonna. You know what? Never mind. I found Blazer 346 again, so we're gonna go with his.
Hell yeah.
After wanting to wage war against the Frost Giants, the mighty warrior Thor, also known as Chris Hemsworth, is cast out from Asgard by his father Odin, also known as Sir Anthony Hopkins, and sent down to Earth. With no way home and his hammer Mjolnir lost, Thor struggles to reclaim his power. Meanwhile, on Asgard, Thor's devious brother Loki had seized the throne and seeks to help the Frost Giants reclaim their glory. With help from scientist Jane Foster and her team, Thor must learn the true virtue of being a hero and return home to stop Loki and save Asgard from destruction. Now, I would like to just 100% spoiler skip the next 30 seconds. But Thor learning the true virtue of being a hero was him just going, yeah, kill me. Do it. Do it.
Yeah. That is the
Jordan, we're heroes.
Yeah.
Running up to a cop. Do it. Kill me. You threw a tomato, I saw it.
I want you to do it. I want you to do it. Hey, come on, hit me. Hit me.
Hit me.
That I actually noted down in the content part is a very, very common way for origin stories to actually work for superheroes is they're all about sacking the body. And we've seen that multiple times so far.
It's learning that the greater good is more important than the self.
Yeah. That's
I want you to do it. I want you to hit me.
That's the wrong universe.
If I could take myself out, that's great. If I can kill some assholes, it's a little better.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll start off by predicting Jeff's rating, and then we'll jump into all the technical stuff and the rest of the podcast. I think Jeff's gonna rate it a 4.
Why is that, Zachary?
The graphics weren't too bad. You enjoy Loki as a villain, and as a character. The semi love story that was in it wasn't like it didn't seem like a crazy forced thing. Definitely seemed pretty quick, but it didn't really wasn't used to further a plot necessarily. Maybe the ending a little bit, but they were already pretty well developed. And the comedy bits, I have a feeling that you like Darcy's character, just because she's just sarcastic and hilarious.
I have a question real quick.
Oh, you're gonna ask who's Darcy?
No, I'm gonna
Okay.
ask why Darcy doesn't have a last name.
Doesn't need it.
When
Darcy
Thor's
missing
like,
iPod.
yeah, when Thor's like referring to all of them, he's like, "Hello, Natalie Portman. Hello, or goodbye, Natalie Portman. Goodbye, Sir Anthony Hopkins. Goodbye, Darcy." Just like, what? Why doesn't Darcy have a last name?
She's mysterious.
It wasn't Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, Stellan
It was
Skarsgård.
Professor Eric
Oh,
Selvig.
yeah, that's my bad.
What did that
What about you, Jordan? What did you think? I think. What do you think that I think?
I think Jeff likes boys, so he's gonna give this one 10 out of 10 because you can see Chris Hemsworth with his shirt off.
Oh, that is a good point. I didn't. I should have bumped up my rating.
Also, there's the character that Jeff would be like, "Hey, that guy looks like me."
There's that one.
The fucking like dwarf guy that's not a dwarf.
Yeah,
Where
who's
he
just
just like acts like a dwarf all the time.
mucking food constantly every time he's nervous.
What's that guy's name? Like Valsbarg or something?
He is.
I was gonna say Sif.
No, Sif is a goddess.
Of?
Pussy.
Fight.
Volstagg. That's his name.
Volstagg, not Valsbarg.
Jeff's just throwing names out there. He doesn't give a shit.
I don't know
Yeah.
names.
She actually does have a last name, by the way. Darcy has a last name. It's Darcy Lewis.
Yeah, but why does no one ever say that? Like,
Don't need
it's not a big deal if no one, like, if it wasn't, like, pushed the fact that the others have a last name. Like, I don't remember their names in the slightest, but it was like that scene was so awkward. It's just like Natalie Portman, other guy with a last name, Darcy.
Yeah.
I think it might be like a generational thing, like because they're older, right? They're adults. They've experienced the professional world, so to say. So when they introduce themselves, they probably say like, "Hi, I'm Jane Foster." Whereas Darcy's like still in college. She'd be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Darcy.
Yeah.
You got abs? Let's fuck."
Plus, she's an intern, and interns aren't people.
This is true.
Although at the end of the movie, she was a full blown Shield agent.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's jump into the technical side of
Hold
the
on,
movie.
Jordan. Are you just putting down a 10 out
Oh,
of 10?
yeah.
Is that your actual thing?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Called commitment, Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Jeff. Let's talk about what do you think of the effects of the movie?
Overall, they're not too bad. A lot of the like background stuff was well done. The like green screening and whatnot was all pretty good. I didn't notice like too much like obvious shitty green screening. The frost giants were pretty hit or miss at times. Some of them looked like they were made out of Play-Doh at times. Others were like awkwardly small compared to how big they were supposed to be at times. I felt like they were inconsistent in quality. That could just be budget or time restraint or whatever, right? In the first big fight, when Thor took the Warriors 3 and Sif, or whatever her name is, to Jotunheim, and the one guy got impaled, when it shot from the back, the ice wasn't moving, but he was moving like up and down because he was trying to like act like he was struggling, but he was moving up and down like perpendicularly to the ice slightly, and it was really poorly done. But I mean, it's again not a huge deal. What other effects did I have in here? Yeah, for the most part, I didn't have too much problem with the effects. Mostly just those two things, with the frost giants being inconsistent and the ice being just that one ice spear being like it was static, but the guy wasn't, so it looked awkward. And that's not necessarily effects. That's more like editing or acting or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad.
What about you, Jordan?
The effects were hit and miss. Like there's a lot of times where I thought they didn't really need them. The first the opening scene, they kept switching, or it looked like they kept switching between like actual footage of the truck driving, or maybe like a huge green screen behind it, versus the truck like driving on the open plain, and the truck was animated. Like they kept switching back and forth between the real truck and the other one, and I just thought like just do one, pick the real truck, just leave it. Other than that, I kind of agree with Jeff. Like some of the ice giants were kind of spotty. Sorry, I didn't want to burp on stream.
Yeah.
And some of the ice effects were kind of janky, but I think they did what a lot of Marvel movies did, and they like saved that budget for the scenes that really needed it, and a lot of the stuff was just me like looking in the background that I was nitpicking. So it was well done, but I think a remaster would be good, especially because this came out. I mean, what 10 years ago? So it shouldn't have been. I think the previous Marvel movies had better effects.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the frost giants on their own, like if it wasn't shot in an action sequence, looked like really good. The effects on them and the practical effects and everything like that seemed really good, especially when you looked at Laufey. Um, that was pretty cool, but once you got him into like a fight scene, it was just sort of, I guess, probably to save on the action and just causing a blur and stuff like that. They didn't seem very consistent. Um, the I guess I hate saying like for the time, but maybe for 2011, the whole city of Asgard looked like it was pulled out of a video game, which definitely shows like they tried really hard, and like a lot of the video games nowadays they look fantastic, but it to me it didn't look as realistic as you see some of the cities later on in the MCU. Like they haven't fully perfected that CGI. But I did really enjoy whenever he would be fighting. The lightning effects seemed pretty good, and especially at the very end with his the fucking epic suit up. They do great jobs with anything like Thor or Iron Man just suiting up and getting ready for battle. Like those ones are always on point, and I really enjoyed that one.
There was one lightning effect I did have issue with. It was right at the end when he got his when he proved himself to be a hero, and got his suit back. It kind of just looked like they had strobe lights going off behind him and like one right underneath him. It looked like he was struggling to keep his eyes open during that. Like he was like,
He was coming back from the dead, yo.
Yeah.
but he wasn't actually dead because he's got to call the hammer. You
No,
can't just
he
be
was
like,
dead.
oh, there's a dead guy. He's worthy of Thor's power.
No, canonically he was dead, and Mjolnir resurrected him.
Yeah.
So weird.
I do believe that's canon.
And he would have got smushed. I the acting for Loki when he just like rests his hammer on top of him, and he's just like fuck, I can't move.
That was really bad acting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He wasn't like raising his shoulders at all. The thing was like on his lower rib cage, and he wasn't raising his shoulders at all. He's just like, my arms are the only thing that can move.
Yeah.
It looked like he was pulling it down onto himself.
Yeah.
One other effect that I just remembered, it wasn't too bad a lot of the time, but sometimes when Thor would take off straight up in the air, his cape wouldn't move, and it was just like a still of him just moving straight up, and it looked pretty bad.
It's like Blue's Clues, just Blue Skidoo Weekend 2. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, for the Asgard city, like you were talking about, I think they really struggle with what actual cities would look like if they were entirely made out of gold. Because gold's not something that people are used to animating on large scale, right? So they're just like, I don't know, would this be like smooth as hell, or what are we gonna do here? So it does give it that kind of like not Play-Doh-y look, but almost a plastic look to it. I
Yeah.
think that's just not used to animating gold at that scale.
Yeah, which I mean, they probably could have solved that by not having as much, but I guess you definitely want, if it's the city of Asgard, like you want it to be as fucking majestic as possible. But
Mhm.
you could throw a brick in here or there, to break it up.
I'm pretty sure like this, all of this. I don't know about the like story of Thor going to like Earth and all that kind of shit, but like the whole lore behind all of this is taken straight out of Nordic religion, right?
Yeah,
And there's no brick or anything in Asgard. It is entirely made out of gold.
yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, I can understand why they went with a brick style because I don't think gold is like the best material to build out of. Is it not the softest metal?
It's not the softest, but it is very soft. But it also conducts electricity very well. So, but yeah, it's a status symbol, right? That's why the Nords said that Asgard was made entirely out of gold because they're supposed to be just like superior beings, right?
Totally. I mean, yeah, they're super strong. Which I have questions about their strength. Because I mean, Thor's dad took away his hammer and was just like, "Yeah, no, I got your shit. No, like I got your powers. You're a human." So, like, are all the warriors just people that have been bestowed power, or and like the rest of the population are just normies that just happen to live very long?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know about specifically in the MCU, but I think Odin does have like final say in a lot of the powers as long as they don't go like behind his back and get it from somewhere else. Like Loki's power partially comes from his heritage and partially comes from Odin, I do believe, and that's why I had to look it up because I didn't know. But that's why Odin went to sleep, was to recharge his like Odin power or Odin force or something like that, which is basically just the All Father power, the basically the Almighty power thing, right? So Odin has a lot of say as to what goes on and who gets what.
Yeah, and that's what I think. Like Stan Lee specifically chose the Norse mythology just because there wasn't a lot, no, like not commonly known about it. Like you always had like Christianity and Greek gods and everything like that were super popular, and I think DC was using Roman gods as well as Greek gods and stuff. So that's why Stan Lee chose the Norse mythology to bring that into Marvel Comics. And to me, it's like Greek mythology is cool, but like the Norse mythology is awesome.
I wonder why no one went for Egyptian.
I don't know. I think maybe later on they might have because I do know Apocalypse, which is like a big main villain for X-Men. He like started or like moved throughout time, but one of the big things was he was in Egypt for a lot of stuff and where he transferred powers over and that he was one of the first mutants. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there are many Egyptian ones. I probably should check my little encyclopedia thing, but oh, actually there is one that's based out of Egyptian. What the fuck's his name? Annihilation? Annihilus? I think. I can't remember.
Steve the Super Guy.
Yeah. Yeah, but in like drawings and hieroglyphs.
Yeah, so like bird, bird, circle, bird, X,
Yeah.
lady dancing, crow.
um, while we're on the topic of acting, I think that other than the slight misstep with the hammer on the chest, I think Tom Hiddleston fucking nails Loki even throughout the entirety of the MCU, which I'm so glad they brought him in for a Loki TV show because he is he's a fantastic actor for that, and he didn't even audition for that originally. He auditioned originally for Thor.
It's a little small for Thor.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Chris Hemsworth probably like walked by and was like, okay, yeah.
And Hemsworth isn't even that big in this one compared to what he gets for this next one that's coming out.
Yeah, I think he like really got cut for this one. Because the other Thor movies, he's built. But this
Yeah.
one, it seemed like they did no water 2 days before a scene sort of deal, just to choke him out, make him look real skinnies.
Yeah. Shredded, bro.
I'm gonna disagree with his performance in this movie. I don't know if it was the script or him. At this point, I think I know it was the script. I thought he was ridiculous most of the time. Um, he did play like the somewhat sneaky role good, but I think he could have played it a lot better. Like later on, he's a lot more devious. Where in this one, he's just sort of like he almost seems way too childish.
Yeah.
And that fucking is it? I just didn't. I don't. I never enjoy that scene. I laugh at it, but that's just because I think it's ridiculous.
What is it seen as that? That's not sparking a memory.
I believe at the end when he's talking about destroying, or no, when he's in the process of destroying Jotunheim, I believe, with the Bifrost laser. Then Thor's like, "Brother, you have to stop this. It's madness." And he says, "Is it?" like 3 or 4 times.
Oh,
Yeah. I guess he wasn't, I don't know, maybe not fully comfortable like in the role or in the character yet. But I kind of like that because he, like later on, you can tell, like you can almost, it's almost like a tell that he's being deceptive. Where in this one, it was really hard to predict where he, at least for me, like where he was going for perceptions. There was the scene in the beginning where Odin's like, no, like we're not going to Jotunheim. Like this is 3 fuckwits. Like leave it alone. And then he kind of manipulates Thor into it, so you kind of see the deviousness there. But even throughout, it was hard to predict. I haven't seen this movie in a while, and I forgot that he was the one that alerted the guards that they were going there and to Jotunheim originally. But I feel like throughout the movie, most of it was he had it planned out like to a T.
yeah. I don't know about acting uh, being odd in this one, or if it's more writing. I'd say it's more writing because Thor's character. I know they were trying to make him come across as a selfish guy who wasn't ready to be king, but he just come across as like an actual man baby, and that really put me off his character entirely because he's just like, bring me another, and smashes a cup on the ground. Like you never saw any of them do that in fucking Asgard, so why are you doing that here? Like, what the fuck?
They had metal cups.
But
They
you
must have
never
fucking
saw them
smashed them.
throwing anything on the ground, even the like fat dwarf guy, right? Like I just the whole character was like him smiling goofily all the time, and I'm Thor, blah blah blah. He just come across as like a big child to me.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it might have been done intentionally because like
Yeah,
they're adults, and from like any human perspective, they are like ancient. But I guess maybe in their society, they're still considered like almost adolescents because they're both acting like in this movie super childish, and sometimes way too childish. I think more on Loki's part, but
yeah. I don't think they're still adolescents because I know Odin was going into his sleep or whatever, but would Odin give an adolescent like would he allow him to be king if he was still an adolescent? I agree they're younger than they come across as, right? Because of how long they live. But I don't think he's a child.
well,
But
maybe not a child, but I'm thinking like to compare it to like humans, I'd say the range between 19 to 24, 25. The range where like doing stupid shit is still happening, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. I definitely think it was intentional on the writer's part because they're trying to contrast like how not ready Thor is and whatnot. But me personally, I think they overdid it and just made him come across as like a major douchebag. Like your main goal with a protagonist is supposed to make people sympathetic towards their plight. I wasn't sympathetic towards him. Like I was sympathetic towards his cause, but then as soon as he hit Earth and he was just like a giant man baby, I'm just like, I don't care about you or what happens to you. You're just like a big baby. Like
Yeah, but I do like when he finally gets in. Like it was a good sparring session at the Shield, um, little mini base they had around his hammer, and his like not breakdown, but just like realizing like, oh fuck, like I actually don't have my powers, and I've actually disappointed my father, because I think it didn't set in throughout that little time period while he was on Earth that he was like his dad was serious about this, like he actually did fuck up that bad. And then once he goes to lift his hammer and he can't, I think that's when it sets in, and you can just see like that just everything in him that was the happy go lucky and stuff just drained from him.
yeah, which again, like your father literally casts you out of the immortal realm. You're clearly immortal now because you got tased, and it still takes you not being able to lift your hammer, which you didn't even originally know was on Earth, to realize that you're no longer a demigod. Like you got tased by, as you put it, a puny mortal weapon. You're not a demigod anymore. Get over yourself.
Yeah, especially I mean he got suckered by lightning. That's his
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And then some just big human comes up, a literal mortal, and punches him and puts him on his ass, right? Like, yeah, he beat the guy, but all signs point to you being a mortal, buddy. It's time to get off your high horse. He even says it at one point, before he picks up his, or tries to pick up his hammer. He says, "This mortal form needs sustenance." So, like, I don't know. Just it's not the acting. I don't think. I just think the writing was a little inconsistent.
Yeah, one of the things I did like about the writing was that you could clearly tell the difference between an Asgardian and a human, and the fact that they wrote Jane Foster as a much better scientist than they did with Betty in the Hulk.
Yeah, instead of it just being, oh, I was Bruce's assistant. She's actually like, no, bitch, these are the equations. I'm never wrong. Stay.
Yeah,
Uh, I'll agree she was better. I don't think her character was better. Her character was basically like, okay, I'm trying to find something. This is my life's work. To, I hit a hot guy with my car. He says he's from outer space. I'm now in love with him. And then that was basically her character arc from then on. Anytime he was in the scene, it's just, oh, you're so hunky. I love you so much. When he wasn't in the scene, she played the scientist. As soon as he was there, she's just, ah, woman.
Well,
And
I mean,
I wouldn't
I,
say
I,
woman.
I think there might be a reason because like you don't know when her last boyfriend was. I'm assuming it was a while ago. And if she is like 100% into her work, she may not have much of a personal life, especially with her location. Because I mean, the cream of the crop, they were all out at the crater trying to lift the heavy hammer.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the good guys in town.
And yeah, and when it comes to like stuff like that, like she played it very well, like being nervous, like when you get up to someone and you have like that level, like there would be that level of attraction, like it's gonna seem more awkward and more ditzy and more just like she played it well. Basically, and when you're acting like that, she still had the sciencey ness to it, but there was um, it's also hard because it's a shorter movie. You can't show like the full development of falling for someone, but I think overall she played both like that section well as a scientist.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna go with Jeff on this one. Like I think their relationship was a little rushed. Like I do get it. Like where or I can rationalize it. That she's like basically I'm gonna be crude here, but she's a big nerd and she saw Buff Thor and was like, "Mm." And for the reason like they're like her running into him all the time, like the reason she's so obsessed with him, I think, is that like he is the answer to her work. Like, yeah, she's been doing all the science stuff, and then all of a sudden he falls out of the sky. Like that's why I think she was so obsessed with him in the beginning, and then it sort of divulged from like a scientific need to like wonder what his balls look like.
Yeah, I have no problem with them being like attracted to one another. That's absolutely fine. They're both good-looking people. But then, in my opinion, play up the sexual attraction more than the instantly in love with them, right? Play up like Darcy come across more as just like, oh my god, he's hot, than she did, right? And I think that would be more realistic than just the like, oh my god, this guy is just the gift to women. Everything revolves around him whenever he's in the scene, right? Like,
Yeah, but did you see his ass?
There's like 12 of them.
I'm not gonna say it's my new background, but like, swoosh.
and like, I understand like being hopeful and like trying to rationalize this guy being the answer to your plight and whatnot, but she's a particle physicist, or supposed to be a particle physicist. She's a goddamn idiot, right? Like, this guy, like when they first found him, they just thought he was a homeless guy, and then, which made a hell of a lot more sense than if you're a physicist and you shouldn't believe in magic and all this kind of stuff, right? And then she's just like listens to him for a little bit, and she's like, you know what? I believe you, even though for some reason she's never heard of like the story of Thor or anything like that before. Like, what? But anyways, just like imagine your entire life being devoted to finding the laws of the universe. You see one thing that doesn't like coincide with that, and you're just like, that's the truth. Everything I've been working on is just it revolves around him. It's more magic than science. That doesn't go well with me. And then she's just like, everything I've ever, or all my data is in that stuff, and this book I'm holding. It's like, why would you say that if you don't want them to take your stuff? Why would you just be like, oh, by the way, this book has stuff in it while you're taking all my stuff? She was, I didn't like her character.
I think that might have just been like a plot driver. Like, oh, they'll
Yeah,
take their
exactly.
book, and then he's gonna go get his hammer, but then he can't, and then he's like, well, if I can't have my hammer, I'm taking your fucking book.
I'm taking your book
Yeah.
that was outside for some reason in a rainstorm, but it was dry. Anyone notice that?
Yeah, it was coated with Never Wet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with Hawkeye's hair. He was literally standing outside in the rain, aiming at Thor for like, I don't know, a few minutes. The last shot of him, it's still raining. His hair is perfectly dry.
Waterproof gel. Come on, man. Too easy. The only reason I know that exists is because I used to have to wear it.
Yeah.
It's the only stuff that actually stays.
Turns out in New Mexico, water truly isn't wet.
It's dry. Like, as soon as it comes out of the cloud, it's just dry.
Yeah. So it's yeah, for the most part, I don't know. The director seemed to be okay. Like it was Kevin or Kenneth Brennan. He played Lockhart in Harry Potter. So it seems like most of the like super main issues, realistically, and it seems to be a very common thing, is the writing is real rough on some of these characters, and it just turns them into just worse options. So far,
Yeah,
anyways.
that's one thing that's really hard to differentiate, right? Without being behind the scene, you don't know. Like, obviously the writers make the script and all that, but you don't know like how much input the director, how much control the director is putting into the scene, right? If he's like, no, you have to be more googly eyes at him, and you have to be more this, and you have to be more that. It's really hard to tell if it's sometimes if it's writer or director doing that kind of stuff, right? It's just like, because that you don't know how much input the director had to put into the thing before it was put together, right? You know what I mean? Because they're basically there to make sure all parts work together, and if everything just seems to be okay from the outside, then it's fine. He doesn't have to do much. But if the writers fuck up or whatever, and then he thinks they fucked up, and then he has to step in, there's no real way of knowing where the writing stops and the directing steps in without being there yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you'll find um, Thor actually, like Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, will come out much better once we get to, I think, Ragnarok, because the second Thor is probably like it's unanimously thought to be one of the worst MCU movies. And that sort of just sucked the life out of Hemsworth for playing Thor. Like he was really unsure about it, but and you can tell in his performances, like when you get into Age of Ultron and stuff like that. But once you hit Ragnarok, and when Taika Waititi comes along and writes, so he wrote the script and directed, and you can just tell like how much more joy there is to playing a character again. I think it's really tough on for one-off time watching. So like just seeing them just being in the character for the first time, it's to me it's hard to tell their performances, because I feel the first time you see them they're still just kind of getting used to it. Like I could tell a clear difference between RDJ's performance in Iron Man 1 compared to Iron Man 2. Like just the comfortability with the character and knowing that you can put all this stuff into the character. Um, you'll notice it later on throughout with all the characters.
I find it might be I'm gonna lean more towards I don't want to say an issue, but it's more on the director. I think just because like if you look at the Iron Man movies, like Jon Favreau listens to fans. Sorry, I was just reading chat. And takes their suggestions and stuff. Like he may not listen to everything, but like the good ones, he will take into consideration and stuff like that. And like you said with Taika Waititi, I think he's just a fantastic human being overall. And working with him, I think would be such a joy. He's an amazing writer, amazing director, and I think he would offer the freedom to play the role how you think it should be played. Because I mean, like from this movie, you can just tell. Like, I think Chris Hemsworth was the choice for the character. I don't see anyone else playing the character. And giving him the freedom to make more creative choices, I think, is wise, because like there's a lot of things, especially in Marvel, that once you give the actor the choices, they do well. Especially like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and definitely not John Cena as Thor. If anything, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be said when you find that perfect actor for the perfect role, and you can just let them go free with it. I think it also helps when you get the person who wants to play the character is involved so heavily in the pre-productions as well. But yeah, actually, I know I probably should have said it on the Captain America one, but RDJ actually like called and pushed for Chris Evans to be Captain America. He just thought that he was the perfect fit for that character, and it truly is. I'm excited to see Anthony Mackie doing the transition from Falcon to Captain America, but Chris Hemsworth as the original Captain America was a perfect fit. And yeah, I definitely agree with Chris Hemsworth. I also will agree heavily with Tom Hiddleston as Loki, the character.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch enough movies to really be able to say who would fit better or worse into the role, right? Like Tom Hiddleston, I don't think he did a terrible job. I also don't think he was prominent enough in the movie. Like he was definitely prominent enough, but they didn't give him. They were trying to make it a surprise, is what I guess I'm trying to say. They were trying to make his betrayal a surprise, so they didn't give him chance to show how manipulative he was until later on in the movie. The first real essence of manipulation you got was when Thor was arrested, and he just cold-faced lied to him and said that his father was dead, right? Like, that was the first actual thing, and really only true form of manipulation that they allowed him to do. So it's hard, just from the first movie. I'm not going by his performances in the other movies.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say if someone else could have done it better, because the trickery aspect of him, outside of his magic trickery, obviously, wasn't really on display too much in this one.
Yeah. Except when you get to the end, and even that post credit scene, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, just to show and sort of sets him up. Overall, the idea, I think, for the origin story and the plot of having, instead of having a hero work towards, like, it's still the same concept, working towards getting their powers. It was nice to see like an origin story where the hero has to redeem their powers or gain them back because of something that happened. That I thought was a neat little trick and good for driving the plot.
And this movie answered mine and Justin's question from Endgame, eh?
Yes, it did. Which is why, because I was just that. Don't see a movie when it is in a series of movies, and then because you miss out on things like that, where it's just like, oh, like, how the fuck Captain America shouldn't be able to do that? He's just a normal dude with steroids, like.
Yeah, because we were going by the lore that this is based off of, right?
Yeah.
It's Thor is the god and Mjolnir's his weapon, right? Not Mjolnir is the god and Thor is the wielder.
Yeah. So.
Which is really strange, right? Like, it's kind of strange because I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on Thor for the rest of it, for the rest of the series, because, like, right from the get-go, Chris Evans' character, Captain America, is supposed to be, like, the perfect human, right? He's supposed to be selfless, noble, wants to help everyone. So he's definitely, obviously it shows in the last one, worthy of Mjolnir, right? And he, like, budges it in one of the Avengers or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, Age of Ultron.
Yeah. So, like, it's pretty clear there, and I definitely want to keep an eye on those two specifically because of that. Like, Thor's power comes from Mjolnir, and Mjolnir has to deem you worthy because Mjolnir's, like, semi-sentient for whatever reason. And Chris Hemsworth too. His like noble ability, or not ability, but his nobleness and whatnot is supposed to be multiplied by the serum, right? So I just want to make sure that they don't have any weird missteps that are really out of character for them. And I feel that they wouldn't do that just for the sake of doing it. I think if they do it, it's going to be for, like, one of those weird comedy parts where they just, like, take the character out of character for whatever reason, and it's just like, look, it's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Caps that ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and the I don't know. I also really liked we're bouncing around all these characters, but Darcy is probably one of my favorite characters or like side characters throughout all the MCU. Just her, and I'm pretty sure Jordan's the same way, and she pops up later on in WandaVision. For spoilers, if you haven't seen that yet, like, if you haven't, like, what are you fucking doing with your life?
I haven't seen it.
I know you haven't. What are you fucking doing with your life?
I haven't seen Loki either.
Don't worry, it's part of the MCU timeline.
Yeah.
It's never ending, Jeff.
Never.
I also haven't seen any of the What If.
One of us. Don't worry, that'll come.
It'll come.
It's in there. It's on.
Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus. Look at it.
Yeah.
The timeline.
I don't know, Disney Plus.
But yeah, it's her character is just the sarcasticness of her, and just the like blurting it out and not giving a shit. I love that character so much.
Now, I've never actually seen the show. I think it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something like that. There's a character in there that, just like from all the memes and bullshit that's on Reddit, she kind of reminds me of. There's a character, I think it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine, maybe it's a different show entirely, that she's just like a fuck you, I say what I want, whatever kind of character, and it reminded me of her for some reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess Rosa.
Maybe, I don't fucking know.
She wear a leather jacket all the time.
I don't know. Yeah, Detective Rosa Diaz.
Yeah.
Or Diaz. Yeah, that's who she reminded me of. Like I said, I've never seen the show, but from all the memes and whatnot, she comes across as like very similar of a character.
Yeah. What any characters stand out for you there, Jordan?
No, I'm not really. I like how they tried to pull Selvig back into the MCU and link it around with the after credit scene of Nick Fury showing Selvig slash Loki spoilers the Tesseract. Now I want to know, was Loki like physically inhabiting his body, like possessing him somehow, or was that Loki? No, it wasn't, because there was two reflections.
Yeah, I think he was just like sort of controlling him. I don't know if it was the no, because it wouldn't be the staff yet. So I think it was just like a almost like an enchantment, kind of. But he just doesn't know that he has that power yet. So maybe it was just a manipulation.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe he was just like looking around like he did with Thor, like just disguising himself, being invisible. Maybe it just doesn't work on mirrors.
According to Marvel Cinematic Universe.fandom.com, he is being mind controlled by Loki.
Oh, so
So I don't know if that's a bit of a continuity problem or something else, but that or the fucking fandom thing could be wrong, but that's just what it says.
Yeah, I don't know. That I think might just be a continuity thing with the show Loki, because in the show it says that spoilers. He says that he doesn't know how to like reach into people's minds and control them yet. The only way he's actually allowed, or the only way he actually does it is with the staff of the Mind Stone.
yeah, which
And
will
that's when
be
he would touch them on the forehead, right?
yeah.
Yeah, forehead or the heart.
Yeah, true.
Touch my forehead. Come on, touch it, touch it.
I think Sevig or whatever his name was is probably one of my favorite characters from the show because he seemed pretty reasonable. He was the one who told Jane or whatever her name is, that she was like, "Are you listening to yourself? This is a fucking nursery rhyme. You're falling for a guy that's claiming to be in a nursery rhyme. He's just a crazy guy who read the book I did when I was a kid. What the fuck are you doing?" But he's also overprotective of her because her father died and he's basically taken her in as his own daughter kind of thing. So he's trying to protect her and help her, but also realizes she's a fucking dumbass and will tell her. So I think he was probably my favorite character in this one because he seemed to be a reasonable human.
Yeah, yeah. That I probably should have put that in my guess for you, but yeah, anyone who's more realistic, I think, is like closer to your favorite characters.
Yeah, I have no problem with any of the Asgardians, like when they're on Asgard and whatnot, because they come from a different society, so they're going to act different, right? Like that's just how it is. But when you're acting as a human in a movie that you haven't seen anything unworldly yet, you need to act and believe as a human would believe, right? To me, that's just, especially if you're a physicist or whatever. That's your entire job, is to unravel the magics of, or the science of the universe, right? You're not just gonna suddenly start believing in magic because hot guy took his shirt off.
Yeah, although she does point it out, remember when she says magic is just science that we don't have an answer for yet, or something like that, or whatever she said it.
Yeah, from a quote from a science fiction writer who
Yeah,
literally makes up things.
yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at science fiction from like back in the 1910s or like the 1800s, like off in the distant year of 2020, they'll have flying cars. When in reality, we just had a plague
Yeah.
and widespread panic.
I would like to touch a bit on Anthony Hopkins as Odin. I
Gross.
think he played pretty well.
I think so. I think I would have liked a little bit more explanation, because like just from watching it, maybe I wasn't paying attention too bad, but the Odin sleep was never really explained in the movie.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh no, Papa's got to go for his nappy nap. You know how he is. Now you're king.
Yeah,
And it's like, so did Loki know about that? Because it kind of seemed like he didn't know like at all. So was he just like, oh yeah, Dad's on the warpath again for 400 years, or however long? Because like his mom said, they never really know, or maybe it was just that time they didn't know when he was gonna wake up.
Yeah, they hadn't prepared for it as well as before. So
So before he had his jammy jams on and had a nice cup
yeah,
of cocoa.
so I don't know, maybe the stress of everything that happened, because he did seem pretty hurt. Like Anthony Hopkins acting is always great, but you could tell like he was, when he was doing his whole speech when he was banishing Thor, there was, you could like see it in his eyes, like more in the body language part,
Yeah.
that he was there was pain because she had to fight between doing the kingly duty, but also knowing that this is his son, that he has to do it too.
Yeah, I wish they gave him more personality. Because again, if you actually read Nordic lore and whatnot, Odin's fucking insane, right? Like he's they had Mugen and whatnot. I forget the other one's name in the movie. His ravens and whatnot. And they were just like sitting on his chair. He didn't actually talk to them or anything. But in Nordic lore, he's insane. And in this movie, he was just like most generic kingly king, have to help my people ever. He was like, you see that exact character outside of like the situation he was in and whatnot in like every movie that's trying to make their king look like a good guy. He had no personality, flair, or anything to himself, right? Basically is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not really 100% explained later on, but it's touched on um, in the Taika Waititi one. I can't remember the fucking name right now.
Ragnarok.
Dark World. Oh, right.
Ragnarok. Yeah, Dark World is a horrendous piece of shit, and
Yeah.
we're all gonna suffer through it. I think that one's gonna get the lowest score probably out of the
Yeah,
MCU.
maybe.
That's after the next one.
Is it?
Yeah,
Maybe.
we have one. We have like
Yeah. Oh,
Avengers
fuck!
and then Dark World.
That's awful.
Hey, but think of it this way: it's almost over.
Yeah, that is true. It is. Oh man, that's the one we gotta film it early because it'll be the week before camping. That's good because then I can drink my sorrows all weekend.
I had to watch this shit ass movie.
Oh, it's so bad. It's like, well, we'll get into it when we
I'm
actually
gonna give
watch
it a 9.
Oh, you would, you son of a bitch.
But yeah, it goes a little bit into it in Ragnarok. That he does have a darker past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that because of what Loki's dad said, he called him like a murderer and whatnot. I imagine that the war on the frost giants isn't exactly. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I'm imagining that the war on the frost giants isn't exactly how he described it to be, and that there was more of a prejudice or something against them than what he's been telling people. That's what I imagine happens, just purely based on what's his name's one line. But yeah, I do wish that they had given him more personality.
Yeah.
Think of it this way: they have a city of gold on top of a floating plate. Where'd they get the gold?
Yeah. Yeah.
They raped that Jotunheim of all its resources, did they?
Oh, at least 9 realms.
All of it.
Yeah.
At least 9 realms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I definitely don't wouldn't be surprised that he has a darker past, right? But I mean, I've said it 100 times now. I just wish they gave him personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I that might have also been like because this is somewhat of a family movie. Like it's not a. I don't even think this was what was this one rated PG-13.
PG-13. Yeah. Pretty much all the MCU movies are PG-13, so that
Yeah,
they can sneak in a curse word here.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying they have to go balls to the wall, show him as a genocidal maniac or anything like that, but just give him something. Give him a quirk. Give him like a talking mannerism. Give him anything that he's not the exact same as in every medieval movie. Because he's not. He literally has magic, has a city of gold. Single him out. Make him different from every other movie. Is all I wanted.
Yeah. All right, we got a little bit of time left, so we'll jump into the universe and the extras.
I got it right here. There's a link to Shang-Chi. When Thor is talking to Daddy, All Daddy, near the end, he's got rings on his shirt like Shang-Chi. I didn't count them, but there's probably at least 10 there.
No, no, that is they were not planning for Shang-Chi that early on.
All right, I'll go back and I'm gonna watch the movie again, and I'm gonna count the rings. Starting right now. Please be quiet.
Please be quiet while I get into character.
I'm getting into character. Please be quiet.
This is more universal and less like references and whatnot, but just like questions I had that weren't really answered by this movie. I had to look it up. Like Jordan said, what is the Odin sleep? Like Jordan said, I thought he was dying for some reason. I was like, why is he dying? He's been around since literally the beginning, they said.
Space cancer.
Yeah, so they need to explain, in my opinion, they need to explain what the fuck's happening. And then I looked it up. Apparently, Odin sleep lasts anywhere between a couple hours and a week. And they were making it seem like he was never coming back. Like, what the... Calm down there, Bubs. Why does the fucking queen not just rule? Why do they have to put Thor in for the week that Daddy's sleeping, right? Like, it could just be an afternoon. He's just taking a nap. Calm down with all this ritual.
Because even in other species, men are superior.
Basically, is what they were going with. And I don't know the answer. I don't know if this gets answered later, but why can't they rebuild the bridge and the Bifrost globe? Because I imagine it wasn't there before. They built everything made out of gold because it looked like it was made out of gold too. And if you said that they raped the nine realms to make it, I imagine they made the Bifrost thing. Why can't they make it again? Why is everyone all upset about it being gone?
Probably just the time and the fact that it just broke where it broke. Like, I don't know. I think of it as like it's like Lego. You just snap like a Lego bridge in half. Like there's a lot that goes into that piece, so it takes you time to build it. So I think they knew that they could repair it, and eventually they do.
I imagine so
Yeah.
because he's in Avengers, which is like the year after, right? So
Yeah.
it's not even like it took him that long.
That one I don't think the Bifrost is fixed in that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He uses some other method of transportation to Earth.
Yeah. The Heimdall is pretty OP when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, and don't they use like the fucking cube to get back or something like that?
Yeah.
That one, the energy from the cube.
Yeah. Because it is the Space Stone.
Yeah. I thought when I first saw them fighting over the casket or whatever it's called, I thought the fucking cube was in there. I'm like, how the fuck did they get the cube up there? It was just on Earth. But it turns out to just be some other blue artifact of power.
Yeah.
That's the ice stone. You needed to evolve your Eevee into the
Glaceon.
ice form. Yeah,
Glaceon.
that. Sure, Vaporeon.
Yes. Unfrozen water, or unfrozen ice.
If Glaceon gets too hot, does it become a Vaporeon?
Should.
Like depending
If
on
a
the climate?
Glaceon and a Flareon fuck, they make a Vaporeon. They skip Eevee.
Automatically, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they would both die in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on who's stronger, honestly. It's like the spiders. After they die, the usually the female kills the male. Well, in this one, it's just whoever's the higher level. The Glaceon snuffs out the fire, or the Flareon turns him into a Vaporeon.
I think it's the
Also-
gender.
Well, yeah. I was about to say it also depends on gender because like it would have to be Fire Boy, Ice Woman, because if the fire Pokemon goes to give birth to the water Pokemon, it's going to extinguish the flame, and it is canon that if the flame goes out, it's dead.
Yeah. No, this is a Vaporeon.
Or instead of a Vaporeon, you get a Steam Orion, because it just fucking turns the water to steam.
Ooh, it's a ghost.
Yeah, yeah, you get a ghost Eevee because it died in the womb.
Is there a ghost Eevee? I know there's like
No.
a character.
No, there's a psychic and a dragon now, I think, and a fairy, but there's no ghost.
Homosexual Jeff, please. Know your own pronouns.
Oh, did you guys notice the nod to Bruce Banner?
Yep.
Yeah, when Buddy said he was talking to like the lead scientist on gamma radiation, then he was never seen again after Shield got involved.
Yeah, he was new there. Or the Destroyer when Coulson was asked, he's like, "This is new Stark Tech? I don't know anymore."
Yeah.
I want to know, like, so because Selvig said that he was friends with the Hulk, pretty much, or with Banner, right?
Yeah.
That's never brought up again, and I don't think they, unless I'm just not remembering them meeting. Like, I don't think it's ever brought up again that they have a past relationship.
No, I don't think it is. They don't really meet throughout the MCU or anything like that.
I
Mark
think it would have been
Selvig's
cool if they had like Mr. Blue.
Yeah, I think he might be brought back because he is technically an option because he turns into the leader in.
I feel like he's coming
Incredible
back
Hulk.
with Shang-Chi.
Oh, maybe.
Like, what's his nuts come back, right?
Oh, Abomination. Yeah.
Yeah. And if the government wants to study him, who better to kidnap than the motherfucker that made him?
Yeah. Oh, the name of that they give Thor while he's on work or on Earth, Donald Blake. That's actually from the comics. That's the name he uses when he visits Earth. Is Donald Blake.
Oh yeah.
And then I guess the last one will be the post-credit scene.
Hold on. What about Coulson or whatever his name
Oh,
is?
Son of
He's
Cole?
in this one and the other ones. That's a reference.
Yeah, when Thor called him, he was like, "Son of Cole, you can count me as my ally." I was like, "This is great."
Yeah, because that's literally just their name, right?
Yeah. But yeah, the post credit scene setting up for Avengers and setting up Loki as the villain, because he finds the Tesseract and then because he just sort of flooped into space. We don't know exactly where he's going until we get to the Avengers, which will be the next
doesn't
movie.
he get like scooped up by Thanos or something?
Yeah.
Because I remember at the end of, hey, I just got a message that says the By the Rail side's gone live on Twitch.
Okay.
Check him out.
Yeah, at the end of Avengers, isn't there just like a shot of Thanos sitting on a chair in space or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll do it myself.
Loki didn't even know that the stone was in the Tesseract, right? He was just told to get the Tesseract.
Yeah. Yeah, he had same with his staff. He had no clue that it was actually the Mind Stone in there.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Did Thanos know? Because like he just gave it away. Well, I guess that was before his glove time.
Yeah. I don't think he fully knew. I think he was still like researching how to achieve his goals. He was like searching for Infinity Stones, but well, no, that started in 2014. In their line, it was right when right around the Guardians of the Galaxy time.
Yeah, so maybe it was after 2014. I'm trying to look up like the MCU, but I'm trying to what movie came before 2014 or during 2014.
You ever considered how similar Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad are?
No.
They're basically the same movie, just one's done okay and the other one's done really poorly. Just a bunch of outlaw criminals forced to group up for the good of humanity. There's like a weird quiet one, an anthropomorphic animal thing, a real good shooter, the like fucking quirky leader-esque one, all that kind of stuff. And you're just like, wow, these are the same movie, just different.
Yeah. Well, if you actually compare DC to MCU or to Marvel, there are very much similar people.
Yeah, Batman and Iron Man.
Yeah, it's they riffed off each other quite a bit as they were battling for the top comic spots.
Whoever won purely in comics? Was it
Marvel.
Marvel?
Yeah, Marvel crushed them. I get they had. I think there's a bit that Stan Lee does, or like a little video that explains the whole thing, where he would just like they would start doing something and start like selling really well by doing it, and then DC copied them, and then they would just change it up, and then they would keep selling really well because they changed up, and then DC was sort of like in the past with their whatever they were trying to do. But
yeah, outside of like Superman and Batman, I can't name any mainstream DC heroes.
The Flash, Green Arrow,
Green Lantern,
Wonder Woman.
Oh, Wonder
Aquaman.
Woman, okay. Aquaman, he can just talk to fish, can't
No, he's like ridiculously strong as well. Very durable. Like he's a little bit less powerful and durable than Superman.
he? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like he gets he gets shit on by everyone, but if you like go and delve into the comics, he's not as lame as everyone says. I think Namor, the MCU version of Aquaman, is a lot more lame than Aquaman.
Yeah, and he might be coming into Black Panther too.
Well, you know what? I take Namor over Aquaman now, just because unless they kill off Amber Heard.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God, I hope so. Like
Yeah,
IRL
apparently
or...
Johnny Depp got the right to sue her for $50 million.
Yep, defamation lawsuit.
Hell yeah. Hope
Which
you win.
is crazy that you need a right to sue someone. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
I feel like as soon as they remove one of your body parts, you have the right to sue them.
But before we make this podcast an Amber Heard podcast hating thing, like we did last time.
I'm down.
All right, let's talk about Amy Schumer. What a fucking cunt.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for listening. You can catch us on Twitch. We don't have a set schedule yet because we keep changing because it's summertime and people like doing stuff, and I like doing stuff. So once we get a more set schedule for recording, we'll let you know. Twitch.tv/bytherailside. Follow us on Twitter @byrailside, and then Instagram, and then listen to us on Spotify or wherever you consume your podcasts.
Put it
I'm
on the
free
Renee track.
Tuesdays at 3 a.m.
Oh, no one's gonna join you because that's fucking early / late.
I'll do it.
Yeah,
do it.
he will.
I'll do it.
Before we go into the ratings, I got just two little complaints to make. Did anyone notice when they were taking Thor to the hospital how fucking crooked the camera was? At 31 minutes, 38 seconds in the movie, the camera was at like a 35-degree angle, and I don't know why. I don't know if they were trying to be like artsy or something with it, but it just was really jarring to me.
Yeah, I think.
Notice.
Yeah, I kind of noticed. I think that was just a more effect, like how out of it he was. But yeah,
But it wasn't coming from his perspective or anything. It was just showing a shot of the fucking hospital from the outside, and it was just at an angle, and I was confused. And this is obviously not a big deal at all because you weren't supposed to be looking at this guy. But at 36:19, when Coulson was first arriving at the hammer, they had just like torn half of a truck off trying to pull the hammer off, which that scene was stupid too. But anyways, so there's nothing happening because they're unhooking it from the fucking truck, right? And there's this extra that's like, yeah, he's like cheering on the people in the pit, even though nothing's happening in the pit, but you're not supposed to be looking at him. You're supposed to be looking at Coulson getting out of the truck, and I'm just like, what the fuck is that guy doing?
He's having a good time with his friends. Won't you fuck off?
And whoever works at that hospital needs to learn how to restrain a patient, because the guy's massive and he just slips out of your restraints. What the fuck kind of restraints do you have?
Silly string.
Apparently. But yeah, that's it. I'm good now.
all right. I'm giving this an 8. It was a little refreshing look on an origin story perspective. I like the characters. I like what they did with it. Some of the writing was a little bit questionable, and some of the effects with the frost giants. But other than that, they were pretty cool villains, and it was good to set up a few, so like Loki for future films as well as Thor, and then Loki for that villain role and the complex relationships he has with his brother and his father.
I'm going to give it a 6. Because that's the number that popped into my head. And that's what I'm sticking with. Yeah, it's a very entertaining movie, although I do have issues with the script and some of the graphics in it, like throughout the movie. But I mean, it's Marvel. They nail it. I think where it counts. They put the effort in where it counts and where they need to in the movies. Um, I think after Dark World, it definitely does increase a lot. But I mean, for $150 million budget, I think they definitely could have done better. But it was entertaining, and I did learn something new. I don't think I've ever watched that after credit scene before, or I just don't remember it because I actually like lost my mind a little bit when I saw Loki there with Selvig.
Yeah.
I would like to know how the fuck he got there, because like I thought he was gonna get warped out where the laser beam was, so he would have been going to the Jotunheim planet that he just tried to fucking destroy. So maybe they'll go into that in a mini series or something like that, or season 2 of Loki. It'll explain it, but I would like an explanation like how the fuck he got to Earth, unless that was just like 2 months later after Loki had already been picked up by the people that picked him up.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, I think I'm in and around Jordan, 5.5, 6, somewhere in there. I think some of the characters were suboptimal. Some of them were just terrible. I wish they had more character for Anthony Hopkins. I wish they gave Loki a little more chance to actually be mischievous instead of it being like off-screen stuff with the surprise. I understand the surprise, and it's really hard to do both, so I'll let it pass. Whatever. I think Natalie Portman's character was awful. Some of the effects were bad, some of the effects were fine, so it comes out pretty average there. Um, the story itself of Thor learning to not be a douchebag is pretty bog standard, and like Zach said, it's it's pretty much the way a lot of superheroes do it. It's just like, oh wait, I shouldn't be an asshole and just think of myself. I should think about others. So I mean, there's no points for originality in here whatsoever, considering the lore itself is literally taken from the religion. So yeah, it's fine. It's not great. I'd watch it again if someone put it on, but I don't think I'd ever put it on myself, kind of thing. So yeah, like a 5.5.
Perfect. So that gives us a nice 6.5 rating for this one. Join us next week while we get to watch the little mini culmination of all these origin stories, minus Captain Marvel, in the first Avengers movie. So we'll get to review that next week. We'll be here probably around 7:30 on Twitch on Friday night. You can join us then. Other than that, you guys take care.
Con.